So what is a fiat currency? Or have you all heard about the fiat currency? When we heard about fiat currency, you'll think first it's a money or a currency, of course. But what does it actually mean? Fiat is a Latin word, means by decree or by order. So when you hear of a fiat money, it's a government-issued currency that is not backed by a physical asset, such as silver or gold, but rather the government that issued it. So a fiat currency is a currency by declaration. It is a currency where it is a money by force. In the past, the values of currencies was connected to physical assets like gold and silver, but now most countries have left the gold standard and use fiat currencies instead. Now I'm going to show you all the fiat currency symbols. Some of the major currency symbols of the world are dollar, yen, dinar, lira, hryvnia, won, drachma, sadi, penny, euro, franc, dirham, ruble, manat, dong, peso, guarani, pound, rupee, rial, lari, tenge, bot, tugrik, and shekel. Now that you already know some of the fiat currency symbols, we are now going to explain to you how fiat currency affect globalization. Let's now find out on News Ogula.
It's almost about everybody can talk, especially if you live somewhere like Europe, where the power firms need 1.5 trillion euros in margin calls, or if you live in Germany, where they are currently keeping 2 nuclear power plants available as a backup and burn coal as it faces an energy crisis brought on by war and climate change. This is because over the last few decades, fossil fuels slowly but surely become insufficient for our energy need, while renewable energy like windmill and solar panels are completely unreliable. And finally, energy sources like nuclear are nowhere near large enough to supply for our current energy needs. Why does this happen over the last few decades? Well, it's not because of the climate change, and it's not because of war, but it's because of fiat currency. Yes, you heard it right, it's because of fiat currency. And now our next reporter will be Miss Geraldine De Castro. Miss Geraldine.
Yes, Cynthia. Now I'm going to explain why fiat currency is a source of global energy crisis. The current global energy problem is being caused by fiat currency. So, this is the theory that we will investigate to see if it holds true or not. First off, fiat currency enables an endless expansion of the money supply. The only limit would be political will. Secondly, government use this limitless expansion of the money supply to finance all of their expenses. And lastly, because there is no feedback mechanism to tell the government to stop spending, there is no brake on what the government can fund, support, and facilitate. The world has been subjected to decades of failed economic policies supported and funded by fiat currency, which have contributed to the current energy crisis. There is some proof that printing unlimited amounts of fiat currency by the government might have an impact on energy.
Thank you for that wonderful explanation, Geraldine. So how does this relate to the current global energy crisis? Our energy laws, regulations, taxes, and subsidies are net destructive because they influence and change behaviors. It is important to note that there is no world in which wind and solar will exist to the extent that they do nowadays without regulations, laws, taxes, and other forms of energy, and subsidies for the sources of energy. The only reason it is so expensive today to build a new nuclear power plant is because of regulations. The free market cost of a new nuclear power plant is not just $10 to $15 billion because of regulations. Governments have been imposing dangerous and unsustainable energy policies in the world for decades, funded by fiat currency and limited government spending through inflation. Most government policies used to have to be funded by taxes, which means if a policy destroyed enough wealth, the direct feedback would be strong enough that people would simply say no. Since the effect of those incompetent decisions is very clear, but in the fiat era, laws are funded by inflation. You could simply produce more money, and when something problem occurs, you can simply say, well, we just didn't do it sufficiently. We just need to print more money to pay for it bigger next time. These regulations and subsidies have caused human behavior to change and have directed capital resources, labor, and actions into unreliable. This has shifted, influenced, and changed human behavior to underdevelop and underinvest in better forms of energy like hydrocarbons and nuclear, and since very obviously, as the population grows, the amount of energy that humans need to consume will also grow, and this has led to a rising global energy crisis, and we are now beginning to see the effects of it. Magandang gabi!